I got to.
Wow.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chadfish Weekly. I am the Chad. We've got Mr. Lyle Stokes over here. He's already lost it. We're about 13 seconds into the stream, and then when we got my buddy Josh Dunnigan from the Weekend Angler. What's up going on, fellas?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
Trying to cool down. Had a beautiful, wonderful day on the water, celebrating Labor Day. Not laboring, just doing some fishing. So
that's awesome. This is the last hurrah for a lot of people. This is the last weekend they had a chance to get out with their family before school starts and do all the stuff. And I'm not sure how that affects you guys. You both have been children still in school. It really never did affect Cindy and I. We would, take off and go kind of at will because being self-employed for most of our lives, you kind of had to go when you had the opportunity. And the kids would go with us, but our kids went to smaller schools and most of the time. And I just say, hey, it's deer season, and the kids are going to go deer hunting, or we're going to and they went along with that. Where now I think that's probably a thing of the past. But for families, this is the big weekend to get everybody prepared before fall.
Definitely.
I have an announcement that was sent to me by Mike Greenwell, and it's for the Indiana-Ohio tournament that they had over the weekend, and he sent me some results. For some reason, they're really small, and I'm having a hard time reading them, but I'm going to give it a shot for the top 5 with Steve Kep, Jessica Raber, and Jalen Raber, 130.6 pounds. My buddy Chuck Breedlove and James Holcomb, 128 pounds. Third place was John Land, Dan Fields, and Nathan Leggy with 73.2 pounds. Fourth place, Andy Williams. And Ryan Eubanks, 67.8 pounds. And fifth place was Mike Greenwell and John Easton with 65.8 pounds. They had, it looks like 37 teams with a total of 733.8 pounds of fish caught, which that's a pretty good number, I think. Like I say, the print is pretty small, so I'm not going to go down the list any further, but looks like they had a great turnout and somebody had a lot of fun catching all those fish. You guys have got anything going on? Oh, I got a message from your brother.
I just got a nice message as well.
Yeah, I got a message from Dockery.
Yeah. I guess I would say congratulations to Team Indiana for winning that little bash that they had down there. But I think they keep a lot of the Kentucky anglers out. That's the only reason they won it. So
you think they do that on purpose then?
Probably do it on purpose, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's say hello to our people here in chat there, Lyle. We got member Mr. Avid Fisherman. We got Jason Lamb, 351 Cleveland. Miss Chrissy Brown, also a member. We got NJ. Elgato Azul TV. What's going on? Troy from Real and Virtual Outdoors. Mr. Bumpin' Mike Greenwell, speaking of. Let's see. Mr. Mike Irvin, Matt Calder. Mr. Creole Catfishing. Sporting the hat tonight, my brother. Mr. Maurice Kaysen. Mr. James Kirkpatrick. Paul Boyd from P&B Catfishing. Tim Donna. Mr. Kitty Whiskers, my beautiful, wonderful, amazing, awesome wife, D.
Who had a birthday this weekend.
She did have a birthday yesterday, so she was very ecstatic. I tried to hold off until midnight with her birthday, but it was eating me alive knowing that I had her birthday present sitting there since Friday, about 20 minutes before she pulled in the driveway and arrived. And it was eating me alive knowing it was sitting literally 10 feet from her and she didn't even know it.
I was
And I
shocked with
finally,
that message that late at night.
yeah, finally Saturday night, I was like, hey, so did you find your present yet? Do you want it? Here you go. Mr. Chad Nolte, I don't know if I stopped or started there. Mr. Parker Pursuits, Dead Sea Pirates Fishing, Frontline Flatheads, Dale Hayslip, Michelle from It's All Mine, The Bullock Experience, Finseeker TV. See, he's been on some crappie lately. Brandon's Outdoor Adventures, Quiet Man Curtis, Pontoon Jody. Danny Stone Outdoors says, okay, he is here. We can start the show.
There we go.
We were holding off, Danny. We were trying to slowly go through the names, make other stuff, and waiting for you to arrive. We've got Fish with JBT, Mr. Patriot James. Get down here to the bottom, and I am all caught up, I believe.
Chad, I noticed that we had a message earlier in the show, and I didn't notice it until you brought it up, but we had a viewer that said they would like to watch our show, but we never watched them. First off, we don't know of all the shows and videotapes and all the stuff that's out there. We don't know all of them. I watch as many as I can, but if I haven't watched one, or you never see a comment from me, send me a message and let me know that you have a show or you're doing videos. Because if you're not seeing me in there and I've never watched one, I don't know you have one. And if I don't, I can't watch it.
Or,
Easy.
as my comment spoke to, Lyle, we were just coming into it, and I saw it, I work a day job. I work sometimes 10 to 12 hours, and I do watch, we'll say more listen while I work on occasion, depending on my conference calls and all that kind of stuff. And I may never chat in some people's. You may see me chat before work or even driving to work. But not everybody can watch everything, and not everybody can always chat. But a lot of people do listen. You'd be surprised how many, people come in and out. Even like tonight, there will be, 80, 90, 100 people in here, and there might be only 20 chatting. So it's not always easy to,
And if I'm busy,
sit and
I
chat.
may be watching one and never make a comment, because when you do, then you got to say hello to everybody in there. And it's not that I mind doing it. Sometimes I have other things I'm doing. I just don't have time to do it. So I go ahead and do what I'm doing. And then if they're still going, I'll do it. But let's face it, I spend a lot of time going hello to everybody when I jump in one.
There's another thing that helps. Be better at fishing. I'm just
Old Dockery.
gotta leave it to Love Dockery. But
yeah, most of the time, if you haven't seen me in one, it's because I'm not getting notifications, and that tells you I don't know you had something going on, or because I try to watch as many as I can from as many different people as I can, out of respect for the fact that they're watching us. But if you don't know about it, you just can't do it. So send us a message. Send me a message. I'll be happy to jump in and check you out.
well, I'm known for my eyeballs when I come into chats. A lot of times if I can,
You are.
people think
Usually closed.
Do what?
They're usually closed, but you're known.
Yeah,
for
that's right. But that's kind of a way of me allowing people to know that sometimes I'm watching, or listening. I just can't chat, or I just want to at least let people know that I'm around.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man!
I see Mr. K&B Anglers came in. I seen Steve Lock. I think it was the other two, and
Chad Nolte's in here. Real and Virtual Outdoors.
Remember Steve?
Got my third 50 plus blue cat this Thursday. Good job, Mikey.
Yeah,
Yes.
man, that's awesome.
And David Maddox. Yeah, there's the eyes that I'm talking about. I love to let people know that I've got googly eyes. Everybody thinks I love them or something. Like I got googly eyes for them, but it's not the case.
I thought them was bedroom eyes. You know what that is, don't you?
What'd you say?
Bedroom eyes.
I'll remove you from my show.
It's a family show, Lyle.
It's a family show, Lyle.
It's not. Oh, you guys are a mess.
We are nothing but serious here, and it's all about fishing.
Is that right?
See, look, Josh has a halo.
Oh boy. Here we go. Well, let's talk about the subject at hand tonight. What do you say?
Yeah, what are we talking about tonight?
I
never get the memo.
Boat maintenance. We was trying to talk about the subject this morning, but you never would come in. So I figured you would. Dee was still celebrating her birthday.
Right.
And you went fishing.
I did. Took her fishing.
You can't beat that with a stick.
We couldn't get no cell phone service out there, and by the time we came home, I had a bunch of messages, but I ended up just ignoring all of you all, and I ate some dinner and took a nap.
That's
Creole,
okay.
you're right. You're absolutely right, Creole. He said my horns is holding my halo up.
Oh, okay, that message.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, boat maintenance. We're going to talk about boat maintenance. You guys maintain your boats?
I maintain mine pretty regularly, especially if we're using it. And I know Josh has probably got a list. I have 2 or 3 things to talk about, and I thought you probably don't have anything.
I didn't know you were supposed to maintain them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That would explain a lot, Chad.
Yes.
Now,
you know about it from the show, Chad.
Hey, relatively speaking, I'm fairly new to owning boats. I've only owned my boat for the last 3 years, so I am learning a lot about what you need to do to maintain and how much I suck at mechanical work, and why I keep friends on my dial list like J-Dog and my buddy Bill that are good at that kind of stuff, because
right. And that's great if you have somebody like that to help you, because you and I have talked several times about the fact that how long have you had your boat?
3 years.
Never packed the wheel bearings on a trailer.
Maybe next year, Lyle.
I do that every spring, regardless of how many miles we've gone.
I've got a lot of miles on mine.
You're lucky. I really believe that you are lucky.
Once you have it go out, you'll understand why you do it yearly.
I'll give you a story. I'll give you a story. We was fishing in Memphis, Tennessee, at a tournament down there one year, and Doc Lang and Cindy was visiting, and Janet and Bink Fox pulled into the boat ramp, and they had a wheel bearing out right there. They had got to the ramp at Memphis, and Doc and I helped Bink. It's right after he had his surgery. We changed a wheel bearing because he had listened to Doc's tips and had spare parts with him. And we changed that stuff out right there on the boat ramp. And if you've ever been to the boat ramp at Memphis, they're like this. I mean, they're pretty steep. And we changed them baby out right there on the side of that mountain and got him going and packed his new wheel bearings and had him going in about 45 minutes with limited tools. But he had everything we needed. And, I'm convinced that if James had felt better at that particular time, he would have probably done that himself before making a trip like that. But that particular time, he's lucky he made it down there. Doc has 2 hubs to his boats in the back of his truck with him at all times in case he has problems, because he's had problems going down the road. And I keep spare bearings and parts with me just for those reasons. I mean, I'm sure Josh does, but I can't believe you've had your boat this long and have got away with that. Pardon me. That's the number one thing that I do every year. And the other thing is, oh man, check the gear oil in the lower unit.
Yep.
That's another thing. Make sure there's no water in it, stuff like that.
That gear oil, that lower unit oil will tell you a lot about.
And it'll freeze too if you don't do it before winter.
It will. You want to do that. I do that twice a year. I do that in the fall before the first hard freeze. And then I do it again in the spring before I start really getting the boat out and using it on a regular basis. That way, there's a real short time that thing, basically the winter that thing's sitting on that winter oil. Oil's $10 a quart. You can do your lower unit for a quart. That's a very cheap insurance policy to make sure that your lower unit.
I actually did that.
So
I did mine Saturday morning when we decided, we had storms rolling and stuff through here, and knew we weren't going to fish Saturday, so I went ahead and got my lower gear oil changed out on Saturday. So
I've actually got a lower over here on the bench. I've got it. We can later on as we get going, we'll change the lower unit oil, and that we'll show people how to do it.
That'd be awesome.
Great idea. I don't know that there's any particular thing that says you should or shouldn't. Oh man, I got some pictures from Robert Chance. Got a picture of Dockery with his granddaughter. How did that happen? Water pumps in most of these motors are not that hard to do, and it doesn't take very long to do it. And in my mind, every other year or every other third year, depending on how much you use your boat, you should either change that water pump or take it to somebody that can do it if you don't think you can. Again, it's not hard to do. It's a little time consuming, but it's not really, it doesn't take really that long to do that either.
Yeah, Lyle, we'll open up this here in a bit. We'll open up this lower. I've got it, like I said, I've got it chucked up in a vise. So I've got it where we can pull that lower unit impeller out, and we'll show everybody, at least on a Mercury, how easy it is. And really,
Mercury's probably the easiest that I'm aware of.
Mercury's probably the easiest one, but there's none of them that are hard.
No, I don't think so either. And it's just good policy to do that. What do you guys else do you guys have on your mind that you think that should be done yearly?
Yearly, if you're going to put a motor away, if you have a motor, let's say you've got a John boat, or you just don't use your boat in the wintertime, and you're going to let that motor set, you need to have some kind of stabilizing agent in that fuel. You need to run it to get that stabilizing agent into the bowl of the carburetor and up into that motor. And you also need to take precautions on the piston and cylinder side of your motor as well. And you can do that with fogging oil, or you can pull the spark plugs and use something like this, which is Seafoam Deep Creep. Now that's sold as a penetrating oil, but you know what? If you take a spark plug out, spray that into the cylinder, turn that motor over, because motor's going to be easy to turn over by hand once you have the spark plugs out. Turn that motor over a few times, let that deep creep get over that cylinder walls. You won't have any trouble come springtime whenever you go to fire that motor up. So,
what you're describing is stuff like Seafoam and that last stuff that I don't remember the name of it, but Stable. I've got both and have used both. I see no difference in the way one outperforms the other. One of them is a little bit cheaper in one store, but you go to the next store and the other one's cheaper in that store. So they're neither one. And there's other stuff out there. One of the big things that everybody used to use was Miracle Oil. I remember back years ago, that was one of the first things that people talked about. But if you're not using the boat as on a regular basis, it's a good idea to put some of that stuff in there, start it up. If you're not going to the water, just start it up and put your muffs on it and let it run there for a little while and mix up and get some of it up in them carburetors and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's even important with the new fuel injected ones because it gets in there with them injectors and keeps them O-rings and all that stuff from seizing up.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. If you've got a smaller motor too, you don't have to run them on the earmuffs. You could drop them down in a trash can full of water or a 55-gallon drum full of water, run them that way. Just, you don't want to run them dry. That is the biggest thing. If you start one up dry, you're just burning up that impeller and that lower unit.
That just never makes sense. I see guys do it at the boat ramp all the time. For the life of me, I don't get why they do that, but they have to have a reason. I before we get too far along, I would like to mention Mark with Catfish and Crappie sent me a message earlier today, and he is not going to have a show tonight. So I wanted to pass that along because I had forgot about it till I seen him in chat, and we're glad that he is in chat. But he will not be doing a show tonight, so just bear that in mind.
Bobcat says check your blinker fluid. That's always a good thing to do.
He said another thing above that was add dielectric grease to your fish finder connectors, and I will add any connector that you plug in and unplug, such as trolling motor plug-ins and anything like that. Dielectric grease will keep water from getting in there and causing corrosion, which will cause you bad connections, which means it won't work.
Yep.
That's never good.
You can get a tube of dielectric grease. Comes in about a 2 or 3 ounce tube, and that will last you years.
Oh yeah,
and it doesn't go bad. So you can put just as little as you use on that. I mean, I can't stress the point. Use the minimum amount on that dielectric grease that you can get away with. Just get a nice little bit coating, and that'll keep that.
Lube your steering cables. That's another great idea.
Yeah, well, that I can't remember the stuff to do it with, but just like the shaft of your trolling motor, especially if you use it like me, I'm going to be out there, and it don't matter what the temperature is. I'm going to be out there all winter long. But getting that water up into the housing of the trolling motor when you're pulling it back up out of the water,
it'll freeze.
Yes. So.
Well, I don't know what you're using for those things. One of the greatest things that you can use for any of that kind of stuff, and that's like on the back where your steering cable hooks to your motors, it goes in and out like that. It's messy, but anti-seize is one of the greatest things you can on it. But everything that touches it has got it on it, and it won't come out of your clothes or your gloves or nothing else. But it will stop that from water getting in it. Hey, Tim. But yeah, that dielectric grease is good stuff. Like I say, anti-seize works really good. But unless if it's on like an old duck boat that you don't care nothing about, you only use a couple times a year, that's one thing. But something that you crawl in and out of all the time, you don't want that where you're going to be touching anything on it because you can't keep it off of. You just can't.
Now you can get. I use that silicone spray.
That's the silicone spray is what I'm thinking of.
Silicone spray. Use that on the shaft of the like if you've got a power drive or a Tarova or anything, trolling motor, something that shaft is going up and down through that steering box. That silicone spray will keep that going through there real well, and it kind of keeps it from freezing up.
Are you gonna get that or what?
Somebody needs a counter for all the mosquitoes I'm killing tonight. But
holy crap! How'd you get so many in your shop?
I don't know. Well, I've got the garage door open out here, so.
Oh, okay. That's probably explained.
They're all flying in.
61 South Outdoors, welcome.
I learned the hard way on that.
Is absolutely right. 1 drop of anti-seize will cover 3 grown men head to toe.
That's exactly right.
Really?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, that stuff.
Yeah. And it's heat resistant and cold resistant. Nothing really affects it. You could put it on exhaust bolts, and 10 years later, you'll unscrew right out. But it's messy. It just is. But I've used it on. I used to have an old duck hunting boat. It had 65 horse Mercury on it, and every year I'd have to replace the steering cable because it set so much of the time. The water would get in it, and it'd freeze up or it'd rust. And I got tired of that, and I just started putting anti-seize on it, and never had to replace another one. David,
let's see.
Yeah, Dave, I seen your post the other day on Facebook.
That's a great fish, man.
Heck of a fish. Yes, name is Paula. Hooligan.
Laughing at Bob.
He's saying I see on my 10mm socket.
I was going through stuff out here at the shop tonight, and I'm missing a 10mm wrench and both 10mm sockets. Go figure.
I think it's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
It's part of the computer game that we're in, that all 10mm sockets just
vanish.
They have a toolbox life expectancy of 38 days, and after that they disappear. But something else that we haven't even mentioned is just your regular oil change. Making sure that you're changing your oil at least once a year. And if you're driving, boating a lot, same thing with your, you was talking about earlier with the lower, is I'll do it in the early spring and then late fall. Late fall if I'm running it that much.
Yeah, if you're running it a lot, you got to maintain stuff. You just have to, and it's not that they won't go longer than what the scheduled maintenance stuff is. It's just, why would you run it longer, take a chance on having to spend more money to fix it up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all mine. Hello, Michelle. But yeah, you do a little bit of yearly maintenance, or some of it's every other year, some of it's every 3 years. You just have to go through your book, and it'll tell you when the time is.
Sometimes
But
never.
for you, maybe, but I'm not that lucky. I'm just not.
My carburetors, they let me go 8 years this time between.
That's a long time.
Which is a very long time.
Hello, Dieter.
On a set of carburetors, but when they went, they decided to really just throw me a curveball, and that seat unscrewed from the float bowl really just kind of messed me up for about 2 or 3 weeks trying to figure out what was going on with it. But
yeah, I know that you was having some issues with that thing, and it's good to have it out, but unless you have an issue like I had last year where I was getting water in my fuel tank, and I can never found out how it was getting in there, but eventually you'll stumble onto the problem like I did, and then at that point you just fix it.
Mike Greenwell says if you have a 2-stroke Mercury, don't let your oil tank run dry. When you
Very
fill
true.
it, possibility. And I tell you what, guys, I would highly recommend, if you have an oil injected Mercury, get the bypass kit, pre-mix your fuel and oil, and completely disable that system. It does not cost more than about $50 to disable that. And once your fuel and oil are pre-mixed, you will never have to worry about that oil injection pump going out.
I've never had one go out. This is my
I have disabled every one that I've ever come across.
Huh. I'm still
make a little block off
plate from the factory. This is the second or third one that we've had like that. Have had no issues with them.
Speaking of, there's a Mercury oil injection pump right there.
It sure is.
When you first brought that down, I was like, man, that is a messed up looking spin cast reel. Looked like the handle all hanging down. And anyway.
That is a fact. It would have been. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to these things. Another thing that everybody should do every year, or maybe twice a year, is check their tires. Check their tires. Make sure they're not dry rotted. Man, there's nothing worse than be out on a busy highway and have to change a flat tire because it goes flat because you didn't check the air in it. We check the air in ours before we take it out, unless we're using it every 2 or 3 days. If I'm having to wait a week or two between trips or longer, check the air every time we go out. Oh, he can't stand it.
What's he doing?
He's firing up the little candle.
Those Cinderella candles.
But yeah,
I wasn't going to highlight this comment, Lyle, because his head's already pretty big. But
yeah,
this Josh guy is smart. Does he own a marina or something? If you look at, if his wife went outside right now and took a picture, you would think, yes, he owns a marina or something.
Yeah, it's the Island of Misfit Boats.
Josh is a very intelligent fella. Don't ever tell him I said that, though. But he is. If you not subscribe to the Weekend Angler, he is a very, very good DIYer and gives a Short Tip Saturday video out. Every Saturday, obviously Short Tip Saturday, but all kinds of different stuff between maintenance and MacGyver type stuff. So it's pretty cool,
and it's really good. Dieter says most trailer tires are rated 50. not 35 like a car. And that's something a lot of people don't read. Each tire on any boat trailer, you should read the recommended. Did I say that right?
Recommended.
Recommended air
I like
pressure.
recommended. So
Yeah, air pressure for each tire. Read on the side of it. Put the maximum in it. If you notice that the center of that tire is wearing out before the outer edges of it, then you got too much air in it and let 5 or 10 pounds of it out. It's really simple.
Hey,
But most of the time, the recommended pressure will work just fine.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd let any out. Air's getting expensive. You know, I saw something online the other day. It's like $10 a pound now. So
I seen a guy talking about. Well, that was your president, though.
that reel it in. Just go ahead and reel it in. Come on back.
you're right, Jerry. You are absolutely right, Jerry Parker.
My sis, Betty Jean Cross, has made it in.
Hey, Betty. How are you, tall Betty? But yeah, a lot of people never read on them tires. Say, well, I put 35 in my truck. Let's put 35 in here. Well, you're under. What you're going to do is you're going to wear the outside edges of that tire, and the center will be brand new because it's underinflated. So just go by what's written on them. Most of the time, it'll be perfect. You say you got that lower unit?
Yeah. Let's get that thing. Let me get the camera moved around. If you're ready, I'll get that.
Well, I'm always ready. Just like
should I remove him from stream just until we make him prove which lower unit he's not that camera to? I know he's trying to act just like you are, so you do. So that only knows.
Wow. What's wrong with bald, Mark?
Yeah, just everybody knows Mark again will not have a show tonight. He is taking the evening off. I'm trying to think, Lyle. What other?
Bobcat says he only lives 5 minutes from the boat ramp. He don't even need air in his tires. I would recommend that you put it in there anyhow. Oh man,
Hey, Mr. SK, yes, that would be great for people in here watching. We'd definitely appreciate hitting that thumbs up. Lyle, I think too, not maintenance wise, but something to think about, especially if you're somebody that goes out during the cold and that sort of thing, making sure that you're checking your supplies, like extra fuses and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you have something like that in your boat. I think that's always a good idea to make sure that you're still good on all that.
Chad, I think every boat motor that I've ever owned or been around has at least one fuse under the hood. If you pull the hood off of your boat motor, there'll be at least one fuse.
There should be a master fuse underneath there.
How many ever's under there, you need to know what size they are and have at least 2 of each. Because when you're out on that water, especially in the wintertime, sometimes you'll be the only people on that water. And if that fuse blows, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but he ain't going. That guy ain't coming out there when it's 30 degrees and bringing you a fuse. And what's the chance of them bringing you the right one? It's just a good idea to have a couple. All right, what do you got there, Josh?
All right,
I'm going to give him solo. Wow.
There you go.
Well, give it that one. Put that one on where you guys are on the side.
Oh, there we go. That's
the wrong one.
I like that one.
There you go.
I like that too.
All right.
Especially now I'm numero uno up here at the top.
Well, we're going to start out. We're going to work on the top end. I've just got a parts motor pulled here just to show this off. Let me try to get that up just a bit. There we go.
Chad, you got a parts motor at your house?
I do not.
I got a parts motor.
I got a drink all over my desk because I just spilled it.
All right. So what we got spark plug socket. We're going to yank these 2 spark plugs. I was smart before the show and went ahead and loosened them.
There you go.
And we're going to pretend that this motor is one that we're not going to start all winter because it's a parts motor and we're not. So,
all right.
Like I said, we're going to take some of this Seafoam Deep Creep. This is a penetrating oil.
So basically, you're setting this, you're winterizing this one to be not go out, right?
Yeah, this one we're going to set this one to be put up in storage and not use it all winter. So we're just going to give that about, I don't know, give a couple seconds, 2 or 3 second burst. Pull that out of there. Do it with the other one. So both of those have that in there. You can see them going crazy, spitting that stuff out of there. We give that motor a few trips by hand. Drop our spark plugs back in. Come here, you. There we go.
No extra charge for that dirt dauber nest back there, Danny.
Me too, SK.
Didn't know y'all were going to learn tonight, did you?
Oh, we're supposed to pay attention to you?
It's a great tutorial right here now.
I probably need to.
All right. So that one is now set up, and while you are letting that motor sit all winter long, that seafoam deep creep acts just like regular seafoam. It's going to eat it, all that carbon on the face of your piston and everything, anything you got on the cylinder walls. Now, when you start that motor, come spring, it's going to smoke. It's going to smoke like a skeeter sprayer, but it's going to run better than you've ever had it run before.
You could use a skeeter sprayer tonight, couldn't you?
I could definitely use a skeeter sprayer tonight. So let's get that one out of the way. Let's move over to we got this lower unit here. Let me turn my computer so I can see and make sure it's pointed the right direction.
How many boat motors you got there, Chadwick?
He's probably got a shed full of them. That or he's got a pile of them laying in Christina's parking spot.
There's a few, but not in her parking spot. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to take this camera loose. That way we can get up there and show you guys this. And most of these lower units are going to have 2 screws. You got this upper screw here. Let's see. There we go.
There you go.
Yep. There you go.
That's your vent. And down here at the bottom, usually towards the back of the lower unit, that's your drain screw.
Yep.
Now, I've got this thing chucked up in a vise.
Mine has 3.
If you have 3, you have one that should never be touched.
Yes. Yeah, you want to touch the one that says vent.
Yep. Yeah, Johnson was bad about that. Johnson Evinrude were bad about that for a while. They put one over there in the mix that should never be touched, and people touch it.
Well, yeah, it's there. You got to fool with it, see what it does.
It. So we got us a 5-gallon bucket here over kitty litter, or got a little bit of kitty litter in it. And the way we're going to do this,
you're making me seasick.
All right, there we go.
Good Lord, son.
Hello. We're going to take that.
I will say they need a better design here because this is annoying.
What are you talking about?
The way some of them sit, like my Mercury sits right in the side of it, and it just runs straight down the bottom there and then drips down.
All right. See how that's not not really dripping that much? Now we're going to pull that vent screw.
And it's going to come rushing out.
There it goes. We'll let that go rushing out. I did pretty good. I didn't get any on the floor.
See, y'all, told you all he's smarter than he looks.
Christina will be so proud of you.
Now, this lower unit's new to me, but it's by no means new. It's got the magnetic drain plug on it,
which is a good tattletale sign of what's going on in your motor.
You can see there's a little bit of shavings and filings. Don't get worked up over, guys.
That's from gears running together. They run together, even though they're in grease or oil. There's still wear on them.
There's still wear. Yeah. What you're looking for when you pull that drain plug and you look at that magnetic thing is chunks. If you see a chunk, you have issues going on. It's time to go see somebody that can disassemble this lower unit. Whoa.
Yeah.
We're going to make life a little bit easier. Let this thing. We'll let that sit and drain for a little bit, and we'll come back to that. Let me switch cameras.
Well, Josh, while we're waiting on you to drain that a little bit, whoa, you got to warn us before you do that. You're on the big screen, bro.
Who?
Josh.
Yeah.
Even stuff like pulling off the prop and making sure that's lubed. So how often do you do that?
I'm going to do that. Like anytime I do the lower unit oil, I'm going to pull that prop and make sure you don't have, the big thing is make sure you don't have any fishing line wrapped around that prop. Fishing line will cut that prop shaft seal. And once that prop shaft seal is cut, you're going to have water issues. But do that. I check mine probably quarterly, I guess. About once every 3 months, I'll pull my prop off, take it off there, look, make sure I don't have any fishing line down there, and then just get your grease gun out. And you don't need a bunch. Take a little bit of grease, put it on those, put it on your finger, wipe it on those splines of your prop shaft, and that'll keep that thing from seizing up on there.
Whisker pig fishing, what's going on?
Hey,
Yep, Josh is giving us the lessons.
I forgot I was getting the audio off that other mic, so I probably sounded like I was in a hole. But
that's okay. Keep back.
No wood shavings in the lower unit. That's never good.
No wood, and no wood splitting with the lower unit. Yep, that is the truth. I have done that.
I've seen guys do it in rear ends of cars too, but it's not good there either.
Well, no, he's talking about splitting a piece of wood during the first pool party. Rob Chance and I were running down the river.
There's your problem right there.
Man, that's biggest part. But we're probably running about 55 miles an hour down the Ohio River, and we heard a thunk, and then I was like, okay, it had come off plane. We look back there, we don't see any oil slicks. Motor's still peeing everything, so we're good to go. Get back on plane, and I'm like 1,200 RPM short of where I should be, and the boat just is acting heavy. So we pulled up, we run aground over by Brookport, Illinois, and I trimmed the motor way up. I had hit a chunk of wood with the sharp part, the leading edge of the skeg, and I had split that wood. And it was sitting, it almost split that thing completely, and it was sitting on that skeg. I had to lean over the back of the boat and yank on that thing and get that thing knocked off that skeg, and then we were fine. But
nice.
What's the odds of hitting it probably wasn't 4 to 6 inches wide, and we hit that thing running down.
You didn't notice any power loss at all?
We noticed it once we got, like I said, as soon as I heard the noise, I backed her down because I didn't know what I'd hit. But when we went to get back up on plane, it was just like she was heavy. She was sluggish. She didn't want to, wasn't acting right. And she was about 1,200 RPM short of where she should be. So nope, we veered into the bank and trimmed the motor up. I said, I've either screwed up the prop or something's gone on. And I've never in my life seen split a piece of firewood.
Get out. I know I spilt my drink a while ago, but you don't need to be drinking. Clean it up for me.
Oh, yeah.
Damn dog. So are we all done draining?
It's getting close. It's on that last little bit there. But we can get prepped on the other
It's an interesting concept for those that don't know how to refill the lower unit. It's an interesting concept of how that works. And I'm sure we're going to go through that here in just a minute.
We're going to go through that here in just a minute. We've got the Mercury Quicksilver gear lube. This is 90 weight. made for everything. They make a little bit lighter weight for motors under, I think, 75 horsepower, but you can get away with that 90 weight and everything.
Yeah.
And get yourself one of these. They're like $5.
Yep.
And it don't matter who makes it. They're all made in the same factory in China. But we're going to get this thing set up.
And you can get the whole kit with both back included on Amazon.
Oh yeah. So you just take,
and then we'll explain the advantage of using this tool.
yeah, because a lot of people, guys, you'll see people, and if you go to the boat store, they'll try to sell you this. They'll try to sell you this little squeeze tube of lower unit oil, and they say, "Oh, you just got to squeeze it." This is so much easier.
It is so much easier, but you can do it the other way.
You can do it the other way, but you're going to save money this way.
Yeah,
So get your thing there.
It's a lot less messy this way.
Yep. Nope. All right. That thing's got a bit of a pump. We're just going to screw that down on the cap of the quart of oil. And this part here is the same threads. It's at 3/8 by 16. It's the same threads for that lower unit. And I think we're probably good enough. We could refill this thing. Let me switch the cameras and we'll go do that.
Bumpin' Mike Greenwell says on an older motor, 1999 or before, is there a lower unit oil? Is there a lower unit oil you should use?
If it's a Mercury, use Quicksilver. Don't use anything else. Mercury Quicksilver has everything you need. And if you've got a different manufacturer, go with their recommended. They're all built to the same. They're all made the same spec. Let's see here. Let's get this down. You guys can see that. You can see we've still got a little bit of oil draining. We'll just kind of wipe that. We're going to put that in there. All right. That's screwed in.
SK says that lower unit oil is thick.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, let's get this thing. I about got ahead of myself.
Whoops. Slipping and sliding.
Sean T. John T says, Josh once told me to pour lead in my fuel tank. That way it don't cost as much to fill up.
Said pour what in there?
Lead.
Lead in the fuel tank?
Chad, please read my question. I didn't know see you.
Don't abuse lead like that. It's good for sinkers.
Oh.
That is true.
Mark says, I didn't know this was a question. I stopped reading after he said he read because I knew it was a lie. I read a lot of slow trolling will cause a little water to get in the lower end. They also started, or that was a question. Sorry.
Stated.
Let's see if we can.
They also stated not to worry about it. What do you fellas think?
If
I don't worry about
a lower unit, I would be worried
about water. I worry about a lot.
If it's milky looking, you're in trouble.
If it's milky looking, if it stinks, and I can't describe the smell of bad lower unit oil, but just
it's kind of like rear end grease.
Yeah, you'll know it, dude. Once you've smelled it once, you never forget it.
Justin's fishing fetish. Hey, buddy, glad to have you in here. Hope Gabby's doing well.
Well, we're going to take and get this. I'm just pumping this gear lube up into this lower unit. And what we're watching, guys, we're watching this vent screw. And we're just going slow. We're going to wait till we see some, when we've got it full, we'll have a little bit of gear oil come spitting out that vent tube.
And all of them are different. Some of them will hold part of a jug. Some of them will hold a whole jug. Some of them will hold more than one jug. It just depends on the size of the motor and the manufacturer.
Yeah, some Mercury engineer was smart. He made this one hold just a little bit over half a quart. That way you had to buy a new quart every time.
I'm pretty sure that was done on purpose.
I would say it was done deliberately. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
See, we got our drip. We got clean oil coming out. There we go. And I like to give it, see how we're getting air bubbles?
Mm-hmm.
I like to get just a few of those air bubbles out. Get that in there.
Is that got an O-ring on the screw?
They've got a fiber ring on it.
Okay, some of them have O-rings, rubber O-rings. Others have fiber rings on them. Always look at that and make sure that it's not all mangled and beat up. Most of the time, they're just fine. But you will run into one once in a while that's been beat up, banged up, checked a lot of times and dropped, no telling what.
Yeah,
They're usually just fine.
Let me look for something real quick. I will be just right back.
No problem. No
I don't know if we said hi, but there's Justin's fishing fetish.
But I just said that.
You probably did, but I just wanted to make sure because I think I missed it.
I asked him about Gabby.
Oh, yeah, you did. You did ask him about Gabby.
I did. He didn't answer me, but
I'm back. I'm glad you said that because I looked at that drain screw a minute ago, and it's missing the drain screw seal.
Yep.
So I've got me some brand new drain screw seals here. These are cheap too. You don't need to, but you could replace it. They're cheap enough. You could replace them every time you do the lower unit oil because they come in a box about 5.
Yeah, they wouldn't just sell you one of anything, probably.
No, they won't say you one. Just remember that. They won't say you one of anything. All right. Now comes the fun part. We're going to get this thing started. Have that drain plug in your hand. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Hold your mouth just right. There we go.
Just like that. Now, for the most part, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that top screw being in there kind of creates a little bit of a vacuum.
It does,
but it won't stop it from running out.
It won't stop it from completely running out, but it'll hang up quite a bit. I'm gonna get a bigger screwdriver.
Okay.
And let's see. There we go.
There you are.
We kind of keep an eye on it. I like to wipe that down. Take a look. Don't see any leaks.
Can't
no leaks.
Welcome.
No leaks. And look down there in your bucket where you collect your lower unit oil. And you can tell that oil has no water in it.
Now, Josh, when you have a bucket with stuff like that in, I'm not sure about the kitty litter stuff in it, but usually if you have a light and you shine it down in there and it's real shiny, got particles that you can see like metal flake in your oil, you might want to think about having somebody take a look at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to. And we're not kidding when we talk about that smell. You could smell burned up oil.
You can.
Yeah. But
Mark with Mr. Pig Fishing says you always need to check to make sure the seal ring isn't in the lower unit housing. Don't ask how I know that.
Yep, it'll. You can end up with 2, and 2 will not seal. 1 will seal just fine. But
yep,
2 will not.
Yep, that is a fact.
Let's see.
Let's go on. Cat Life Outdoors and Urban to Pay Tours just came in. Nice to see y'all.
Let's get this camera moved. And while we're in here,
Mr. Gadget has a really cool comment there. I did not know about that. And he said on some of the Mercury outboards, they started adding the drain plug behind the prop. You need to remove the prop to drain, check, and vents are still up high. I did not know that. That's good information right there. Thank you.
That is good to know. And that kind of comes down to make sure you know get the book for your equipment. I have the book for every boat motor I own, the factory manual, and it has saved me.
45 of them.
Yeah, you'll pay 40 or $50 for a good Mercury manual.
Worth every.
You'll save that the first time you fix something.
Yep.
But we're going to yank this. I thought I had everything ready to go to put the new water pump in, but I was moving it from another lower unit because I know I put the thing on there not too long ago. But I found a bad gasket, so I'm going to have to order a kit for it. But
Okay.
we'll get in there and look at this impeller.
Now, how many? There's not very many bolts that you have to remove to take that lower unit down on that particular motor, is there?
Nope. We're going to have the water pump. It's got right in the lower unit oil.
Nice.
It's got 2 1/4-inch, 1 5/16 here at the back, and then it's got a long screw with a 5/16 inch head up there at the front. So they're just 4 holding it on.
Okay.
So we'll get that.
Peter, that won't work, Peter. That won't work, Peter.
We've got this little rubber grommet here, this little washer. We'll just kind of pry up on that a little bit with a screwdriver. Work that up the drive shaft. Up and off. And now if you're careful, just take a screwdriver and just kind of lift up. Let everything come apart.
And that's the water pump housing.
And that's the water pump housing. And truly and honestly, I don't think we need to change this one. This water pump
That looks pretty good.
This water pump looks brand new. So we could change that if we wanted. We could. There we go. We'll just drop
You'll know when they're bad because they're real hard and brittle.
They will be. I wish I had a bad one, and I don't. I toss them every time I find one. But they'll be real hard and they'll be cracked right there. I do have the other one. They'll be cracked along one of those.
Down
fins.
just a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
They'll be cracked along one of those fins.
Right.
And you can tell it when they get. You can tell it when they get real bad. This one, surprisingly enough, this one's in really good shape.
A lot of times you'll already know it because it'll quit pumping water and quit peeing.
Yep, it'll quit peeing and it'll overheat in a hurry.
But bear in mind, if you've been in shallow water and picked up a bunch of stuff and sucked it up in your lower unit, you may not need a water pump. You just might need to clean out the pee hole.
You might need, and if you have some, we're all catfishermen. We all usually have some heavy monofilament line, like 50 pound.
Yep.
You take you a long piece, back a foot long or so, and run it up that pee hole on that motor, and that'll clean it out.
Chad, he said pee hole. Another thing, you can use
it's a technical term.
You can use compressed air as long as it's not too heavy. The problem with doing that is you're liable to blow off the rubber hose inside the motor. Then water will run inside your motor and spit out the pee hole.
Tighten that down. That one goes.
Marlon said, make sure the fins are lined up in the right direction too.
Yep, this one's got one fin going the wrong direction. I was hoping somebody would call me on it.
He did.
I can't see it.
Yep, right there. See how they're all bent?
No, yeah.
Okay.
See how they're all curving around that way?
Except
And this one's curved the wrong way. And they will fix themselves.
somewhat.
They
Why?
You just don't want them,
you
you don't want them 100% backwards.
No, when you put that in there, if you'll spin it the direction the old one was, as you go in, it'll end up and they'll all end up going the right
Yeah,
direction.
they'll end up close enough that you're good to go. So this lower unit, get this thing on there. That long screw.
Catlight Outdoors says we always remove the reducer off the end of the P hose. That's where it usually plugs up at. That's very true.
All right, so we got that. Let's check that one more time. You just kind of don't tighten these all the way down at once. Tighten them, snug them down, and then just work your way around, and it'll bring that thing down because that's a plastic housing, and you can crack that.
Yes, you can. You don't want to do that because then you're screwed. You got to wait to get one in. Dave with Double Hook Angling has joined us. Mark says canned air like you use for computer works well to clean the pee hole out. Yeah, that'll work good too.
Yeah, have you whistling out of your pee hole.
That's right. If your can of stuff, or if you have a can of WD-40 or anything like that's got one of the little long clear tubes on it that you spray stuff with, that going up in that little hole where the water comes out will also knock stuff loose a lot of times and let it push right on through too. It's not rocket science, folks. It's really not.
Let's get that over here. Yay! Boom.
Yeah,
we got us
great
some lower
information, Josh. That's a great tip there.
That's ready to go, and I've been needing to do that. So that actually, this show was a great kick in the seat for me. I've had that lower unit sitting in that vise for probably about 6 months, just because I haven't felt like messing with it.
Well, now you're be freed up.
And that's the one that goes on that 150 on the bayliner. So all I got to do is get that thing mounted on the bayliner. It ain't going to be tonight because it's already dark out. But we'll get that thing, and hopefully the bayliner will be back up and running, which would be nice.
Heck yeah. Is that the one that's parked in Christina's parking spot?
There are no boats in her parking spot right now.
Really?
He had to look.
I had to look. There are no boats in her parking spot. Caitlin's four-wheeler is in her parking spot, but no boats.
Oh, well, she'll get away with that where you might not.
I know, right?
If anybody has any questions or comments about what the subject that we're talking about tonight or anything reasonably close to that, go ahead and put it in there for us to answer.
Peter, it's just practice, brother. It's just practice.
A lot of people are afraid to do some of the stuff that we talked about tonight, but we haven't really talked about anything tonight, maintenance-wise, that's really hard to do. For somebody that's not doing it, it may be a little bit hard to understand, but once you've done it or seen it done, it's really not that hard to do. Anything that we've talked about tonight, anybody pretty much can do it.
And
Even me?
I will say that there are good internet forums with people that will help you out if you do run into a bind.
Right.
And there are forums that are not so good. But my go-to one when I get hung up, I go to screamandfly.com. And these guys are a bunch of guys that do nothing but soup up their outboards. And they're outboard gearheads. And that's who you want, because these guys have seen everything that could possibly happen. And it's a friendly forum. I've been on that one for years. I've helped people out on it, and I've been helped more times than I can remember on that forum. So
that's awesome, man. It's always good to have a place like that you can go to. I had a guy help me. I had what I thought was water getting in one of the cylinders on my boat motor. I thought I'd blow the head gasket a couple years ago. And I called this guy up and he said, before we worry about that, he said, why don't you pull the plugs out of it? And there's a row of bolts down there that holds a piece on, and there's a gasket between that and the cylinder head. And he said,
That
well,
water jacket.
that's what it is, for a water jacket, and it was blowed. And if he had not told me that, I would have had to took it in someplace, and they could said, yeah, you got to have a head gasket, and charged me no telling what, and I wouldn't have known the difference. Where I had a $6 gasket and an hour's worth of time taking all the bolts out, putting a new gasket on, cleaning the gasket up, and tighten everything down. And that was 2 years ago. I'm still running it, still haven't put a head gasket on it.
Oh
So,
yeah. I tell you, I real quick, when you start messing around with something like those water jackets, you're looking anywhere from 12 to about 16 bolts holding that thing on.
right.
And I will take and get me a piece of cardboard. We never have any shortage of like Amazon Prime boxes sitting around or something. Just get you a Sharpie and draw that thing out just as rough as you can, and mark each one of those bolt holes and shove those bolts through that bolt hole on that cardboard. And when you go to put that thing back together, pull it out, put it right back in the hole that it goes in. And sometimes some of those will have bolts that are just slightly longer or shorter than the others.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sure you get everything back where you get it, and get yourself a torque wrench. They're not expensive.
Nope. An inch pound usually on those, but
usually I think 45 inch pounds, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. SK, I can't answer that question. I never have heard that before.
I didn't know they were, but it's not surprising. It may be the way that tunnel hole bolts are run.
It could very well be, because most of them had the crap run out of them.
Most of them are you run them like you stole them, and I can't say that I wouldn't do the same thing if I had one. But I had Christina watching some Red Bull thing the other day where these guys had these little 10-foot John boats, and they were racing basically in a mud puddle, and they were going through this winding thing. And you have one guy up at the front, and what he's doing, he's looking, but he's also laying on the front. He's helping steer that boat. Oh, it was awesome.
That looked like so much fun.
I'd have done that in a heartbeat.
Oh, me too, years ago. Yes, sir. I sure would have.
Mr. Gadget's probably right. Said they're just prone to running high RPM most of the time.
That's true too. Break out another 1,000.
Yeah, Van, that's not a bad idea either. Take a picture of the thing, but if you start running with different length bolts, it's just it's real easy to throw them in that cardboard, especially if let's say you were doing a head gasket. I've done it on that 150 of mine on the Bayliner. You want those head bolts going back in where they came out of.
Yep, that's a fact. That
truly and honestly, you want to replace the head bolts every time, but
if you can, yeah, that's the ideal way to do it. But it's not as bad on boat motors. But if you ever was in race cars or in the garage business, as far as that goes, when they come out of aluminum heads, the head bolts are stretched to torque bolts on a lot of those engines. So what that means is when you torque them down, it stretches the threads on the bolt. They're only designed to be used one time.
One time.
You throw them away, you buy new head bolts every time that you have that head off. And if you screw up and you have to take that off, you still got to throw them away and get new ones, because it stretches the threads on them every time. So a lot of people don't realize why they keep trying to sell you head bolts. Well, that's why.
Yep, you got to have them.
You do. Chad, have you got the giveaway tool pulled up?
I do.
You do. Well, what do you say we give away some Mad Catter's catfishing stuff?
All right.
We have tonight some bait holders. There's 3 of them in this package from Richard Ward at Mad Catter's Catfishing, and we have one of these rigs set up with a 2.5-inch peg float.
All right. Let's Start getting them entries in, folks.
Van says on diesel engines are the same way. Head bolts are one-time use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boat motors, older boat motors are about the only thing I know other than small
Car.
engine, small engine that you can get away with reusing a head bolt.
Yeah, the old car engines you didn't have to change them all, but when they come out the aluminum blocks, aluminum heads, it was one-time use only. And race cars motors been like that for a long time. That's why so many of them went to head studs and main studs and stuff like that. You could use them more than once.
There they come. There they come.
I got a surprise for the next mosquito that comes up here. So
you're not going to torch it, are you?
How'd you know?
I do that. I do that to spiders sometimes.
Oh, I did that to a spider one day. Oh, hello. There you are. I did it to one of those wolf spiders.
Ooh.
And that stupid thing had babies all over her back.
Oh, no.
And the minute I hit her with that torch, those babies bailed off. And it was like something out of a scary movie. And of course,
I remember you talking about that one
I
time.
took off. I'd have left that building with them.
I was gone. I said, nope, we ain't doing that.
I caught one of them. It was about that big around one time. Marky wanted to take it to school and give it to the teacher so they could dissect it in a science class. Well, he kept forgetting to take it to school. That thing lived for a month inside a steel jar with no air vents in it. I didn't think it was ever going to die. And I didn't dare turn it back loose.
No, not at all.
Not a spider. Spiders and snakes I couldn't deal with. Just cannot do it.
22 entries. They're still coming in there, Mr. Lyle. Josh, you don't want to have to explain that to Christina when it goes the wrong way.
Oh, my.
Well, see, Christina, what I really wanted to do was build you a new 2 times the size garage. So I figured I'd burn that one down. And
that's true. I would like to put in a pole barn. So
heck yeah. Up to 24. Still see a couple people there.
I want it. Bare minimum, I want a 30 by 50.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Snakes are cool. Spiders are heading south at Mach 4. That's a truth.
I don't want no to do with either one of them. No spiders, no snakes.
I like snakes. I don't like spiders.
Snakes are fine as long as they don't come around me.
I tried to get one. I had one trying to get in the boat up like the second or third day we were up at Mendota.
Yeah,
I had one trying to get in the boat, and I decided I wanted that thing in the boat. And once it figured out that I wanted it in there,
you couldn't get
that thing turned around and headed to the bank. It didn't want no part of me. So I was going to cut it up and use it for catfish bait up there, and I was going to call it hillbilly eel.
Yeah, I'm not doing none of that. I had one to boat with me one time, and I like to tore up a brand new fishing rod I just got done building. Had shoulders, you could get it out. Man, it was bad.
A year or two ago, Terry Rogers and I were fishing a tournament down on the Ohio, and we found one towards the end of the day. Found one crawling around in his brand new Sea Arc.
Nope.
I picked it up, tossed it over the side of the boat, and let him go on about his business.
Nope. That's why they make shotguns. So you don't have to get too close to them.
Yeah, Van. Let's see. So 30 by 50 fit by. Yeah, Van. It would fit.
Hey, Ruben, I did see that you got to have the hashtag in front of this one. Give you a minute to redo that one.
I don't know, and I don't know if Dieter is still in here, but I'm gonna give him just a little bit of a secret. Just a side note here. He made a comment earlier, said somebody, can't believe somebody was able to do all that live and no cussing and everything. That's because about an hour before the show, I got out here and loosened every bolt and cracked everything, just like they would on a car show. That way I knew it was going to come off no problem.
Oh man.
All right, I don't see any more coming in, Mr. Oh, we got one more that just popped in here, it looks like, but we'll get ready to pull this.
Mark, you're absolutely right. 60 by 120 would be better. I
Yeah.
don't care what size pole barn you build. Once it's done and completed, you will wish you went bigger.
It's always too small, yeah.
All right. Let's give it a whirl, Mr. Lyle. What do you think?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Dockery said, I'm trying to burn the house down. No.
Dockery? Cody Robinson.
I think I live rent-free in Dockery's head.
All right. Congratulations, Cody.
Cody, be sure to message me on Facebook with your shipping address and tell me what you won. And what you won was these bait holders for dip bait, 3 of them in a pack from Mad Catter from Richard Ward Catfishing. Just message me either on Catfish Weekly, or you can message me on my personal one with your shipping address and tell me what you want, and we'll get these shipped right out to you. Now, Chadwick, this is the next one. It's a rig setup with an 8-aught 3-way swivel and a 2.5-inch bait float.
All right. We'll get ready and get that another spin here in about 10 seconds. If there's anybody that hasn't got in there, hashtag Mad Catter. That's 2 D's and 2 T's.
And remember that Mark is not going to be having a show tonight when we get done. So just going to let everybody know that he will not be live after we are tonight.
All righty. Here we go. Who will win this second one here? You doing a drum roll there?
I guess I was.
Turtle Lady.
Turtle Lady. The noodler. Turtle noodler. Noodler.
You have to message me the same way to give me your shipping address, either on my personal stuff, or you can message me through Catfish Weekly on Facebook, or you can email me at catfishweeklytv@gmail.com. Either way, I'm going to need your shipping address. And folks, we've done this. I've said this before, but we will hold this stuff for 1 week. And if you go over a day or two, we're not going to. I'm still going to send it to you, but we're trying to do it for 1 week. That way, if you don't claim it, a lot of times we'll have people's names pop up through the chat box, and they're already gone from the show. They're not watching it, and they don't know they've won. But if you haven't claimed it within a week, then we're going to give it away again. But like I say, if you contact me the following week or whatever and say, hey, I didn't know, but I won that, you still get it. You don't have to worry. We're not going to do anything to see that you don't win it. And if we're out of that particular prize, we'll send you something of equal or greater value. It's not a big deal. Didn't know that Hog Leg was feeling ill. Hope you get feeling better, Steve.
Yep.
I haven't been up late night here lately. Try to get some sleep, although I'm not getting much. Every little bit makes a world of difference. Any closing statements from you guys?
One thing that we didn't touch on.
Okay.
And I just
We forgot something?
We forgot something.
Holy cow.
And it's a big one.
What?
If you're putting your boat up for the winter, and really, truly, and honestly, anytime the weather gets cold, you ought to be doing this. Put your batteries on a trickle charge.
Just leave them hooked up. That's a great tip.
Leave them hooked up. You can go to Harbor Freight, and for $6 you can get a little plug-in wall wart trickle charger. Now you don't want to use that thing to charge your battery up after you've been on the river all day, but get that thing charged up and then leave that thing on it all winter long. It'd save you a lot of headache come springtime when you pull your boat out. So
it'll also keep that battery charged up where it won't go dead and ruin from sitting too long.
Yeah,
once they go down,
once they start dropping voltage, you're doing damage to your battery.
That's right. That's a great tip, Josh, and we did forget about that. So if you have, what's that?
One other great tip is just go fishing all winter long. You don't got to worry about that.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. If you have more than 3 batteries, say one for your starting motor and two for your trolling motor, or 3 or how many ever you got, just buy a big enough charger to where you can leave it plugged in all the time. Mine's hooked up to the lights stay green, which means
Yep,
it's fully charged.
That's how I did. I've got a 4-bank
leave it
NOCO. I've got a 4-bank NOCO onboard charger. When I get home, I plug it in. It takes care of all of it. It charges all 4 of my batteries. And those NOCOs, I mean, I may be partial to them. I don't get any money from them or anything, and I still have to pay full retail for them. But they've got a desulfator in their battery chargers. So what that does is it emits high frequency pulses into that battery as it's charging it, and those pulses will break up those lead sulfate crystals. And lead sulfate crystals is what kills your battery.
Yeah, it shorts out the plates.
Yeah, so it'll just it may buy you another year or 2 on your battery. You figure battery $100 or so a piece.
As expensive as they are, I'll take every day I can get out of one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is. I think we bought ours last time from Sam's Club, and if I remember correctly, they was $110 a piece for the biggest ones I had.
Mm-hmm. I bought mine from Advance, and I just happened to catch they changed this now, but back when I did it, they had an online coupon for 30% off, and it worked on batteries.
Sweet.
And I ordered. You could only use it. It was only good to like $50. So what you had to do was make an order, use the code, then go right back in there and make another order, use the code. Otherwise, if you tried to order 2 batteries at once, it hit that $50 maximum, and you were cheating yourself.
I don't want to do that.
And I think I got the batteries for around $90 a piece.
That's a pretty good price. It used to be that you get 2 or 3, 4 years on battery warranties, and they prorate it out. Now it's 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, they don't mess around anymore.
No, they've kind of screwed us on that. But great tip, Josh. Great tip. Any closing statements, Chadwick?
No, we'll see you Thursday night. We got LG Bass as a guest.
Awesome.
Sweet. And we'll follow you up that night with Panfish Nation with Mark and I.
All right.
Then we'll be back here next Monday.
Yep.
And I'm sure Mark will be back next Monday night, going and blowing. He was out pretty late last night. I don't know how late. I went to bed on him.
Yeah, he was still fishing live when I woke up this morning over on Kenneth and them's channel.
I watched him until he changed channels, and that was the point that I finally told myself it was time to go to bed. So
yeah, I went a little bit sooner than that, but I just didn't stay there near long enough. But it's all right. It is what it is. Walmart EverStarts are still 2 years. That's good to know. Because I didn't know that. I know whatever it is that Orsolin's got, if you're 30 seconds over that year time, they're not warranting it. I know for a fact. So I don't buy no more of their batteries. That's like a week out, and they wouldn't take care of it. Mr. Gadget says, I only run AGM batteries, and I get them from Batteries Plus with a 36 month.
Wow,
That's
good too. That's really good.
That is, and that would make me tend to go look at their batteries and be interested in buying one from them.
I may have to look into that myself when it comes that time.
Yep.
And I see my buddy Fishflex is in there too. We'll have him as a guest the following week on the Bake Shop. So
awesome. Very good.
Looking forward to that.
Very good. I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. If you haven't given us a thumbs up and you like what we do, please do so as we close out tonight. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate you joining us. And if you'd like to join our group at the bottom, you can go down there and hit join and be a part of what we do in there. Other than that, I think we're done for the night, boys. And Josh and Chad, you guys had some great tips tonight. And I think this was a very useful, very knowledgeable thing that may help our a lot of people out with different things. And Josh, thanks so much for doing the demonstrations.
Hey, anytime. I had a good time, and got me motivated to do something that I've been needing to do for a little while. So.
We'll figure out something else for next week. I want to thank everybody for watching, and we will see you next Monday night.
Have a great week, everybody.
See y'all.